Okay, we're doing our next lesson in the lesson 27 of the shapes of Unit 6. We're looking at our, well, I guess we need to look first at our homework from last night in our book with the animals on it. So you need to turn to page 254, one you did. And we're looking at this. Show different ways to make this rectangle. Okay, if we make this rectangle using two shapes, and remembering what we had from yesterday when we were making the shapes, in order to make two shapes, we're using these shapes right here. So if you want to make two, what shape are you going to make? Well, in order to make this, you have to use this shape. And what did this shape become? It was a square. So if I used one square, two squares. So what do I need to do here? Just divide this into half, and I have two squares. Now use it making three shapes. Well, let's put our squares back in. Now, can we make one of these shapes into two smaller shapes? Well, what do we need to make a square? We needed two triangles. So if we divide one of these into two triangles, then we have a square, two triangles, or 1, 2, 3 shapes. And then this one using four shapes. Well, we divide it again into our two squares. And then now divide our two squares into two smaller shapes. So two triangles, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes. Okay, show different ways to make this trapezoid using three shapes. Okay, what did we need to make a trapezoid? We found out that the other day that two triangles make a rhombus, and that would be two pieces. We found out that one rhombus and a triangle make a trapezoid, but that's two pieces. We need three pieces. So if we have that rhombus and the triangle, what can we do with this rhombus to get three pieces? Well, change that for three triangles. Now, look at this when I'm drawing this. I want the one triangle has to fit in the middle of the other two. So what I'm going to do is put my point down here for, this is the point of one triangle, this is the point of the other one has to be upside down, so its point has to come down there. So then I'm drawing a line down to the point. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3 shapes. Then it says use two shapes. Well, that's what we looked at here. We have a rhombus and a triangle. So here's our rhombus, here's our triangle. Now the point of the triangle, whoops, I'm not showing it to you. We had our rhombus and our triangle. So here's the point of the triangle, and it's going to come down this way. So that we have a rhombus and a triangle, two shapes. Remember, your shapes have to be smaller. If you're going to divide this up into something, your shapes have to be smaller than the one you started with. So a rhombus and a triangle are smaller than a trapezoid. Okay, use the 6 triangles to make a hexagon, and I needed to move that point over so it looks a little bit better. Now, how can we use 6 triangles? Well, remember first we divided it into 2 trapezoids, just like this. Now, here's how we have our trapezoids, or our triangles to make that trapezoid. So we're going to do the same thing down here. Make our lines. And we want the point of this one being up here because the point of the other two are down here. So we want it going like that. And now we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 triangles. Okay, then that was our homework for last night. So let's look at today's lesson. So we're in our book with the numbers, and we are turning to page 182. Okay, we need some crayons this time. So it says color to show how to make this rectangle. We only want to use 2 shapes to make this rectangle. Okay, remember from what we did before. Oops, turned back too many pages. Remember how we put the shapes together to make a rectangle. We had to have 2 squares to make a rectangle, but to have a square we needed 2 triangles. Okay, so if we want to just have 2 shapes to make this rectangle, well, here it's divided into 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to divide it into half. And I thought I had my crayons all ready to go, but I didn't. Here it is. Okay. So if I need just 2 shapes, well, I go to the line that divides it in half. So here's 1. And here is the other. So the rectangle is divided into 2 what? 2 squares. This is a square, and this is a square. So it's divided into 2 squares. Now it says use 3 shapes. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, let's go back to what we did before. Let's keep one of our squares. We'll keep this a square. And take the other piece and break it up into 2 pieces. So now we have, let's see if I get my crayon rolled up. Now we have 1, 2. So we end up with 1, 2, 3 pieces. Okay. Now it says use 4 shapes. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's already divided into 4 shapes, isn't it? So we are going to need 4 different colors. So start with my brown. 1. My red. 2. 3. And 4. So now I have 4 shapes there. Okay, it says use the shapes from problem 3. What shape did we use in problem 3? We used triangles, didn't we? So use those to make a trapezoid and draw it. Okay, so we need a trapezoid. How did we make a trapezoid? Put a shorter line on top, a longer line on the bottom. Make that at just about the same length, longer at the bottom as the top. Draw your line to connect. Now, how are we going to divide this? Using triangles? Well, let's start making triangles. There's a point of one. There's a point of another. Here's a point. So 1, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 triangles. Okay. Vana says the 2 triangles make a square. Boom says the shape is not a square. Who is right? Okay. So he says it makes a square. So we have to stop and think, what are the attributes of a square? Well, a square has to have 4 sides, same length, and 4 right, or 4, let me mark that out, 4 square, you're using the term square, 4 square corners. Okay, so do we have 4 sides? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Do we have 4 square corners? Put that there. Yes. 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 And yes. And there are square corners because those 2 triangles that made that had a square corner in them. So Buzz says that 2 triangles make a square. Who is right? Well, Buzz is. Buzz is right. Okay. Okay, that was our number book. Let's look at our homework page. Okay, it says color. We're going to keep on coloring. To show how to make this rectangle, use 2 shapes. Okay, and they did that. That was divided into 4, but they just used 2 shapes. What 2 shapes? A square and a square. 2 squares make a rectangle. So it says color to show how to make this rectangle using 3 shapes. Again, one of those shapes is going to have to be a what? A square, one of the squares that we had before. And then we break up the other square into 2 pieces, which are triangles. And we end up with 1, 2, 3 pieces. Okay, then this one says use 4 shapes. Well, we've got them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 triangles. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay, then if you turn the page over, it says color to show how to make this hexagon. This one just using 2 shapes. So what 2 shapes are you going to put together to make a hexagon? Use 3 shapes. Remember, take one of those. Start with your biggest shapes. What's the biggest shape you have? Well, the biggest shape we have, other than the hexagon, is the trapezoid. So I'm going to put 2 trapezoids. Okay, so I color 2 parts. Okay, then keep one of those and break up the other. What shapes can you break it up into? Okay, is there another one? No, this one you're going to have to break it up into 2 pieces because you have to have 3 altogether. 1, 2, 3. Then this one you're going to use 4 shapes. Then this one you're going to use 6 shapes. Okay, then Boom says he used 4 shapes to make a circle. Buzz says the shape is not a circle. Who is right? How do you know? Okay, so if these are his shapes, how do you know that it's not a circle? Okay, so who's right? Is Boom right that these 4 shapes made a circle? Or is Buzz right? And how do you know? And write your answer down here. Okay? Okay, I think you can handle that. You may have to think a little bit more, but that's okay. That's fun. It's like being a detective, and solving the problem, figuring out how to make it work. Okay, enjoy. Good night.